Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another 2 episodes this week of the the Daredevil Podcast. Again, it's me, Phil. Lilith is back, and of course, friend of the show, Mr. Gregory Wright, is also back. And this time, we're talking episode 6 of Daredevil Born Again. We finally got what we've been waiting for.
Episode 6, it had to be episode 6.
Yes, they did not wait.
Better than episode 9, though.
Yes. So, yeah, episode 6. This one was, of course, I was gonna say, of course, it's longer than episode 5, but then most of them were 42 minutes. Which
it felt a little longer in a good way.
You know what? It seems short to me, maybe just because we got all this stuff. Because at the end, I'm like, okay, I see the end coming, but I was like, man, it seems short.
Yeah, well, because it was so good.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. You know, it wasn't like I'm like, oh, everything we talked about the previous day. It's like they were listening and they went, yes, let's give it to them now. Although the best thing, the most important thing, the swordsman.
Yes.
In the opening seconds, I was like, that's the guy from Daredevil, I think. And then when the actor actually showed up talking to Kingpin later, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's going to be more of that. But I like that. That was a cool bit because I had hoped that we'd see more of that character from the Hawkeye series.
Yeah.
And we actually did the origin of the swordsman in Solo Avengers way back when. So the swordsman was kind of a little special to me, and I believe we had Don Heck do that. Who I think actually created the character. I think. But that was fun. So I have of course he wasn't going to dress up in that ridiculous costume or anything, but that was cool. I was like, wow, right away, the swordsman's going to be in this episode. And I thought, I wonder how many idiots like me, are out there going, that must be the swordsman. I mean, he did say, the podcaster guy that showed the video did say, good job, swordsman.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to see him unmasked, though, so that was very interesting. Because he was at Fisk's party. Well, fundraiser. Fundraisers are never fun, despite having fun in the title.
In the Hawkeye series, did we ever see him masked, or was he just like the mom's boyfriend? And he kind of gave her a lesson with the swords or something. I don't remember seeing him in any costume. I could be wrong. It's been so long since I saw the Hawkeye series.
But I mean, we're really, they're really saying
that's a little bit of a deep cut.
Yeah, I mean, they're really saying, this is smack of the MCU because I mean, again, Kamala Khan's father, the last episode, and now the swordsman in this episode. So
yeah, I like that kind of little stuff, especially since this episode had just so much stuff that you wanted, especially when you fuck it. And then, he's right on the roofs. And I was thinking about Lilith. I'm like, oh, she's happy now.
Yeah, I literally was like, oh, they hurt us
right away. Boom.
I don't know. I mean, I get the whole reason, but it doesn't seem weird that I'm pretty sure White Tiger's niece or whatever doesn't know Matt's Daredevil. So why are you going to a blind man and saying, you could be doing a lot more about this serial killer,
Well, she knows that he's worked with vigilantes. Everybody apparently knows that he's worked with vigilantes, so maybe he can go tell them or do something.
Yeah, but I think
Spider-Man.
I think everyone pretty much knows what's going on. I mean, what do you think? Matt's going to go, Daredevil, go get him.
I mean, basically, I think that's what they were alluding to. Or maybe she knows. She's been watching him and she knows. I don't know.
Well, he was the one that believed in her dad.
Yeah.
Or her uncle. And actually got him off. Mm-hmm. So that's this is the only person that she knows.
And she's
a
kid.
Well, that's I can't quite figure out. Is she a kid? Is she just like a short adult? I'm not sure.
Are all New York kids just short adults?
I can't.
Isn't that the trope?
It's so hard to tell these days because so many there's so many people who look so much younger, and then you find out they're like 25 years old. You know, you look at the actress that plays Wednesday Addams on the Wednesday, thing, and on the Wednesday thing, she looks like she's like 14. You know, and then in real life, you're like, oh my, you don't look like that at all. I mean, she's tiny, but it's just sometimes you just can't quite tell how old some of these actors are. And I don't know how old the character is supposed to be. I'm guessing the character's supposed to be.
He made a point to ask her, what period she was in. So
she is high in school, so
like maybe 15 or something. I don't know.
But I think she's got the amulet. She
That's
should
what
have
I'm
used the amulet before she went skulking around.
I mean, you think they would have shown her using it, or she would have put up more of a fight if she did have it at the time?
Or she's going to get it at the end of the season. I don't know what they're hinting at here.
Yes, but again, we're just beating Matt over the head again. We're just like, you're going to...
Even the little so we get a recap. Most people skip it, give it, and then we get another recap from the previous events. He's like just pondering, like, I'm going to put on the suit. I should put on the suit.
Yeah, did you notice? Because I got excited at first. They put Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Wool in the credits. I was like, oh, are we going to see something? But it was just a flashback to the first episode. Yeah.
Gotta get their shekels, Can't.
Yeah. But yeah, just again beating Matt over the head with it until he's like, yeah. Puts on the
I like
suit.
that she walked in on him praying.
Yeah, well, that was
we hadn't seen it.
A callback to that. We were talking about, I don't know if he's so Catholic anymore. You don't see he's not in the church anymore, and then all of a sudden, poof.
He didn't have his rosary.
He was literally doing everything we were talking about. We wanted to see. Out it came, and I love how the Kingpin suits don't fit because
he's been eating with that guy.
So he's getting bigger every episode.
He's eating his feelings, and that's not good. Let it out, Kingpin. It's okay.
Well, he's also beating his feelings. So, so now we know why his fingers were all bashed up on everything. So basically, he's been going there, eating, and then beating this guy, and then putting him back, letting him heal up, and then beating him again.
It's just that's the dungeon of vices down there.
Wow, that's some sick stuff there.
So I guess Thomas Wong is the GOAT so far of this season because that's who wrote it. What a lucky guy. We get all the build up and he gives us the release,
Whoa.
But yeah. Everybody else is upset because I've heard nothing but praise for this episode online. So
especially whoever wrote episode 5 because
that's Grant Godfrey. She's used to getting beat up from the Arrowverse online, unfortunately.
But like Greg was saying, I think that's why we put 2 episodes in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, because after
kind
that,
of the same thing with 1 and 2.
This is going nowhere. And then you get this one, you're like, yes. I mean, because there was so much stuff in this that was really good. Now we got our answers on Muse. He's even a sicker fuck than we thought. He's draining their blood, turning it into paint, putting it on there. I like that the garbage men, figured it out. That was kind of cool.
I love that line. He's like, when the sanitation workers are figuring out there's a serial killer before the NYPD, maybe we do need to change some things around here.
And then he brings in the Punisher guys again, so we will be seeing the Punisher again.
Anti-vigilante task force.
So there was a lot of cool stuff that was popping up in there this time. It's like, oh. And I do love when the way they were cutting back and forth with Matt fighting with Muse versus the Kingpin beating the crap out of that other guy, and they were literally cutting to the same fight stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was whoever choreographed that and edited it did a really great job. It was really pretty exciting. But I just can't figure out. It's like how was Matt not just kicking the crap out of this guy? How it's like
he's holding back. He feels guilty.
Pretty good on it. It's like, oh, man.
Or I mean, maybe it's just we've seen him have a few fights, but for the most part, he hasn't been Daredevil for a year.
Maybe that's it. But it's like you're supposed to be able to beat the crap out of people, and everybody seems to beat the crap out of you.
I know, I hate that.
Not as bad as the bullseye fight where he was like, I don't know how many knives he had stuck in him at one point.
I know, that's what I said. Radar said. So you think you can dodge some of this?
Well, maybe he's part stormtrooper. I don't know.
Oh.
The armor.
Mm. Oh, but then, first Kingpin was all annoyed because that one gangster came right to the mayor's office. It was
so everything that I saw. In case you didn't pick up, I guess they're insinuating that it was Luca who was behind the robbery because he still owes that 1.8, and so since the robbery failed, he's telling him, "I'm not going to pay it."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I think it was Luca's guys. Cause I thought they said in episode 5 they said get this to
Yeah.
Luca or whatever. Yeah. So
I totally forgot about Luca because we hadn't been on the Kingpin
Because
for
they
a
weren't
minute.
very interesting, you know.
they were basically just guys sitting in a room with Vanessa. Yeah.
You know, it's like the Punisher cop guys. None of them are particularly memorable.
Except for the one guy who's got it out for Matt now, which he's on the anti-vigilante task force. So we'll see how that works out.
You know, and then they introduced, I can't remember the guy. He was from the comics, the tall black guy.
Oh, Cole
Cole.
North. Yeah.
Cole North, So I'm kind of, you know, like, okay, what are they going to do with him now?
Don't get too excited. Probably not.
I know, that's the thing. It's like, well, we're going to show you this guy, and then, you know, Matt's going to kick his ass later, and, you know, and then he's going to...
Or unless he turns on
in an Italian restaurant, and they're going to eat, and Matt's going to go to the bathroom and bring out a gun.
I mean, unless he turns on the task force, you know, like, testifies about all the shady stuff, you know, because like Kingpin, you know, they're reporting immediately to, you know, directly.
No body cams means we're up to no good.
No body cams, yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens when the Punisher comes back, because I'm sure he's not, I'm sure he's not thrilled with the cops with their little Punisher tattoos.
Oh, and yeah, I mean, I feel like Kingpin was basically just telling the cops, yeah, make sure the serial killer doesn't come back alive, unalive him. But that paint is, I guess, with the blood is so strong they can't even scrub it off.
Yeah, I don't know how that actually works that way, but it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how that.
It was like a double fuck you though. He's like, because the murals are not are not painting a very good picture of Fisk. You know, they're not letting him forget. Hey, you're the Kingpin. We know we're never going to forget. And then also like, oh yeah, I'm a serial killer too. Good luck.
Yeah.
And now you have to keep this as evidence.
And why? You know, that's the thing. We don't quite know. What's your deal? You know, it's like, are you, you know, that was always the thing, you know, when you were creating villains, you know, it's like, well, why? You know, it was very easy. Well, they want money. You know, Dr. Doom was, you know, the ultimate, you know, I'm sure my way is best. You know, that was the Thanos thing and you know, Endgame and stuff, you know. Well, you know, you could have snapped and just made more resources, dude. You didn't have to wipe out everybody. But, you know, it's finding out the why. Why are people doing this? Why do people kill? I mean, there's always a why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's fun. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where Muse falls. It's fun. I want to do what I want to do.
It's just true. He's like doing too much stuff to. You know, it's like, what do you need to kill people and mix it with blood to make a point with your murals? You know,
I don't want getting taken down, man.
Yeah, but what's the blood? You know, it's just. Like, I need to know why.
Maybe by the end of the season, you know, I'm assuming it's probably going to be something. Kingpin did something to him or somebody.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe he's Kingpin's illegitimate son.
No, there's a twist. Yeah,
you just never know. I mean, at Marvel, everybody's got illegitimate this, and you know, nobody dies.
Or it's his clone.
Or it's a clone.
You shut your filthy mouth.
Look, it's the Kingpin's clone that didn't get fat. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
He's mad.
I think that's the kid. I think that's the kid protege.
Yeah, he's the clone. Yeah, you know, it's like, and where's Echo? I'd love to see Echo come back in here.
Mm-hmm.
Go finish the job. You shot him in the eye and you couldn't take him out. What the heck? I
wonder, I think there's some kind of rumor where Matt might be putting together a whole vigilante team. Maybe it's for season 2.
If it's not Defenders, I don't want, except for Iron Fist, but yeah, I don't want.
Maybe it's Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, maybe Echo will be, who knows, but.
I could be. I'd bring Echo in instead of Iron Fist.
Because I don't think Echo will be happy that Fisk is mayor.
Yeah. I also would, Colleen Wing, that's the only thing I really liked about the Iron Fist series. Colleen Wing was great. And Misty Knight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she showed up in Iron Fist, and she was also in Luke Cage.
That makes sense. Oh, yeah.
Well, we were supposed to use Misty. Originally, she was supposed to be one of our side characters in Deathlock. But John Byrne decided he was going to use her.
Wow.
Because Dwayne had put her in the first his first storyline in Deathlock, and then part of it is John Byrne had a thing in it for Dwayne because Dwayne wrote that She-Hulk graphic novel that he didn't want to get done, and Marvel decided they were doing it anyway.
Oh wow!
So I kind of think he was like, no, I want Misty Knight since Dwayne McDuffie is trying to use her. That sucked because we had all these plans to use Misty because she was perfect to use, and because that was our secret cop / investigator but actually has a bionic arm, so it makes sense with that one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see her in the show. I'm trying to, she did finally get, I think, the bionic arm in the show. But the actress was fantastic that played her in that. So I'd like to see her show up, in Daredevil. That would be.
Oh yeah, like you said, her and Colleen Wing. Yeah, they were both great.
That would be great to see that.
Well,
unfortunately, Daredevil's not going to be in Doomsday. Apparently, Marvel was announcing the big cast of that, and
we only named the first 26 or 30 people today.
We'll see who pops in, because I thought Evans was supposed to come back, and
again, how long until that movie? We still got time to announce more people.
I think they'd like to have a few surprises, but good luck with that.
And again, it's still so far away, so it's like,
what are they doing about Kang? Because now they've talked about Jonathan Majors is coming back as Kang, so they can get rid of him. Okay. What's funny is if in the Loki series where they showed all the thousands of Kangs in that one shot, that was a shot that Walt Simonson drew in Fantastic Four, and I just happened to go back and reread some of that, and I was like, hey, they actually did that shot in the series. I thought that was kind of cool. Walt did get a special thanks in there because he came up with, I think he came up with a Council of Kang, maybe.
I was surprised that they just kind of almost scrapped the Kang concept, because it's just there's so many variants. It's why did it all have to be Jonathan Majors?
Well, that was the problem. Is
that's what they
they made him as all of the variants.
Yeah.
So they could have found their way out of it, but I think they were just so afraid to utilize Jonathan Majors because of the controversy that surrounded him.
Oh yeah.
And that's
the one time they didn't turn into the skid.
Turn into the what?
Turn into the skid, as we say around here. Because there's been some bumps around the road, and they're just they just go right through it. Usually, this one, I was really surprised that they kind of the route that they took.
I don't know. It's hard to figure out. When Disney's involved, they act sort of quickly and rashly. They fired James Gunn over something that he said years ago, and we had apologized for.
Yeah, that's when we were in knee deep in alleged cancel culture. It was a rough time.
But Roseanne kind of deserved it. They gave her another shot, and then she decided to shoot herself in the foot, and then doubled down. That was a mistake.
Stay tuned as Salty and Petty covers the last 6 episodes of The Connors.
Oh yeah, last 6 episodes of The Connors starts tonight.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that show kept going.
Yeah. This is this is what season? It's only 6 episodes, but this is the 7th season of that show.
I actually saw the commercial for that. I was 37 years.
Yeah, it's crazy because the Roseanne show was a great show, and she and I thought that when they brought it back, I thought she did a really good job of trying to present this both sides of politics stuff, regardless of what you think. But I thought they did a really good job, and the thing about she's actually funny, and her shows were actually funny, and they were heartfelt, and they felt real with those characters. And I thought, without her, how is this gonna work? And somehow they made it work, and that's pretty impressive.
It gave everybody a chance to be actual ensemble cast, though, I guess, is the right side of that, unfortunately.
Well, it was always a great cast, so.
Yeah. And the writers for the writing was getting a lot, most of that, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a surprise, because she used to be in charge of the writing.
Yeah.
So I thought, without her at the helm, how's that gonna go? But it did. It's a nice surprise.
Mm-hmm. But Avengers Doomsday, May 1st, 2026. So yeah, they have a little over a year to announce more.
That seems like a short amount of time to make a big film like that. They must be starting to shoot it now.
You would think, yeah, or unless they've secretly been starting doing stuff.
No, there's been Disney is a leaking pot now. I don't know what happened, but now everything leaks, unfortunately.
Oh my.
Yeah, I would love to be able to go to a movie and not know what was going on and be surprised by it. But so much comes out. It's I think of
too many trailers
back, and you had no idea that Vader was going to fill that, and you're like, what? I still remember being absolutely shocked by that.
Yeah.
And it was a great moment.
Yeah.
And apparently the cast didn't even know that was in there.
But it's like there's
Mark Hamill knew.
Yeah, there's so many trailers now. Every movie gets like 3 trailers or something. And, it's like ridiculous. It's like,
and they show you too much.
Mhm.
They don't trust the audience anymore. They're just like, please see, look.
Yeah, please come and see all that. Oh, I would like a surprise.
Well, they're really afraid now because again, if people just wait long enough, you can watch it right in your house. All you do is hit a couple buttons and.
Yeah. Well, so there's certain things I do go to the movies because I don't want it to get spoiled.
Yeah.
It's like I go to see most of the Marvel movies. Although I didn't go see Captain America yet, but I usually go because I don't want it to be spoiled.
Oh yeah.
I tried really hard not to find out anything about Endgame before I went. So there were some really good surprises in there. With Cap and the Hammer and all that kind of stuff. And I still remember people just lost their minds.
Oh yeah.
When all of a sudden you turn around and boom, he's got the hammer. And then he just like starts to kick and you're like, oh my God, you got a chance finally.
I am disappointed they didn't use sense of smell when he was tracking down Muse because, like, obviously,
I know you would think
bodies.
That's the other thing. Remember, we were complaining about that before. We're not seeing him really. I don't know how you visually show smell.
But were they down in the sewers? So maybe that was covering up the smell a little bit.
I'm gonna guess that his sense that he can focus smell
through it.
Smell.
Yeah.
But that's got to smell horrible in Muse's little lab where he's draining bodies and stuff.
Saw the 2 on the hook, and I'm like, "What is this? This smells Disney."
Yeah, I was like, "This is pretty gross."
And then also the ladies with the 2 eyes gouged out in front of the other mural. I was like, "This is why you don't ask for selfies from famous people." I'm just saying. Just let them be, man.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, the 2 dumb girls were just like, "Oh, can we have your autograph?" It's like, well, he's painting the walls with blood.
They don't. I mean, they don't know that. Again, they're keeping that under wraps.
That's true.
But still, I don't mess with graffiti artists. Just let them do their work in peace.
You see a guy dressed like that, you run.
In the Marvel universe, yeah, you're right.
In New York, Marvel's.
Are people really that stupid? But they would. It's like oh look, there's Charles Manson. Let's go get a selfie with him.
Touche.
I mean, yeah. People in the real
do
world,
that.
I mean, in the real world, there's real serial killer. There's real killers who get like fan mail from people, and
Oh yeah, it's just it's like that guy that killed the New York insurance guy. He's got tons of people. He's got people supporting him. Like, this is a murderer.
Oh yeah.
So no, he needs to go bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
But he's but he's cute. I don't really care. Spare time, pal.
Oh yeah, there's guys in prison for accused of murdering their wives, and there's still women like be like, oh,
convicted, hard evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just.
Oh, I'll change them.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm. But so do you think like Kingpin had been fighting that guy?
Yeah, I think that's why his nipples have been all raw. I think
so
he's been doing it all along. I think he goes up, he brings the guy up, lets him fight. Beats him to throws him back in the cell.
Who's gonna let him go? What an idiot! You boinked his wife, bro.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Kingpin's just getting bored? He's like, here, try to use an axe this time.
He needs to fill something.
Well, that's it. He needs that he
after that fundraiser. Yeah, I'd be down there in the dungeon of vices as well.
That was a pretty nice meal he had there. A lot of pasta and sausage.
Yeah, so I guess that's why they're kind of honing in on like he's eating like healthy around his wife, and then he's down there gorging on like sausage and cheese. He's
gaining weight though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
He lost all this weight. Which Matt even says in the first episode or the second episode. Oh, you're walking lighter. Now
he's down there. What?
He's gaining a lot because he looked more like D'Onofrio just looks, and now he's starting to look more Kingpin-y. So it's like it looks like he's put a good 50 pounds on since the beginning. So this is what he's been doing. He's been going up here and eating like a pig. And
I was gonna say, how many omelets is he eating down there?
Definitely not egg white.
Oh no! I think he burned those calories off beating on that guy.
That guy's no challenge for him. Adam's a wussy.
Yeah, because you look at him. I was like, is he like barely eat?
He's definitely not feeding that guy.
No.
And how long has Adam been there? It's like, did he start off with long hair?
Actually, it was kind of long when we first see him.
The beard is kind of long.
Yeah, the beard is scraggly.
Right. So I was like, how long has he actually had him there? You know.
Oh yeah, because when the
before
series,
he won mayor, right? So
Yeah.
however long that's been.
Yeah, I was gonna say the affair was before that, right? So
Yeah, and she confessed it, and then he disappeared on pretty quick after that.
You know, I would think, you know, it's like, here, Vanessa, let me show you what I've been doing to the guy that bonked you. You know, maybe now you'll like show me a little respect.
Well, he also has to show her some respect. Like she took something she was good away that she was good at. You know.
Oh yeah, you know. Apparently they had cast somebody different to play the wife in this show, and then they finally went back and cast a woman that was played it before. I thought, why would you recast that?
Why didn't they rehire the writers from the original show? Who knows why they do what they do?
I don't know.
I love the actress though, so at least they came to their senses.
I think she's great. You know, she's just scary enough. You know,
she can hold her own against
in
him.
The comics, as well. You know, in the comics, you know, she was just this pretty little thing that, you know, he was protecting and
having a nervous breakdown every 2 seconds. But yeah, I mean, this one wasn't even that. Again, it seemed like we got so much more in this episode than the last one, but it was only a few minutes longer than the bank one.
It was more hyper-focused on stuff we cared about.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of wasted space.
No.
You know, that's kind of what I really enjoyed was you got some quality Kingpin stuff. You got to meet a few other characters. You know, things were moving forward. This was, again, a lot of plot was moving forward with this episode, whereas nothing really moved forward with the bank episode. You know, it's like there's an hour from Matt's life where, you know, he helped this get going, you know, and it didn't really make me go, oh, he can't, he's going to put the uniform on again.
I love how unaffected he was. And Heather was just so worried. He's like, oh, no, I wasn't even worried about it. She's like, oh, because you have faith. And he's like, yeah, something like that.
You know, but they seem to have a very nice office, you know, even though they didn't get the bank loan. So,
well, they're mortgaged they're over leveraged to the hilt. So, you know, go for it.
You know, but I thought
it's not real, guys. Go for it. Not financial advice.
I did think, though, in the previous episode, well, since you saved the bank, we'll give you the loan.
Now I'll just you can have dinner and we can talk about strategies. I like that better.
I know, but
why give a man a fish when you can teach him to fish? You know.
Sure. Well, we didn't. I thought maybe we'd get the dinner this episode, so maybe it's.
I was hoping it'll be like
better. It'll be a bunch of people sitting around eating shawarma over there. Like,
no.
I gotta say, shawarma is delicious. If you haven't had it,
I have not.
Oh, you must find some shawarma and get it. It's really good. Actually, if you want cheap shawarma, Trader Joe's actually has chicken shawarma in a packet. You can just cook it up and eat it, and it's pretty close to what shawarma would taste like. It's just that it's not.
Another trip for you and D to Trader Joe's.
There you go.
Trader Joe's is great. It's cheaper stuff, and they got a lot of really interesting stuff. And their soup dumplings that they have there are actually pretty good. And I am a big fan of the soup dumplings.
Kind of where both Phil and I are. It's Trader Joe's is kind of a trek. It's kind of like you got to go out of your way, but it's fun. I love a little day trip for something crazy. So
yeah, for me, it's H Mart is like a 40-minute drive to go to H Mart. So how far is Trader Joe's for you?
Oh God,
mine's in Orlando, so it's like a 90-minute drive.
Oh, yeah, you got to make sure you're going to buy a lot. If you don't, some of them have a liquor store attached.
Even better.
And the liquor store is actually pretty good. Because we have in the city, in New York City, there's one, and it has a liquor store attached. And I thought, oh, how this is going to be terrible. And I went in, I was like, oh, they've actually got a lot of good stuff in here, and reasonably priced. More importantly, wow, 90 minutes to Trader Joe's.
Yeah. And just it's Orlando, so Disney traffic is insane.
You know, I've never been in Orlando when the traffic was bad. You know, I always hear all this, and every time I've ever been driving around, I never had any traffic. You know, so
you are lucky.
I guess, you know, or maybe I picked the right time to go because, you know, I went into the city to check out, you know, what actual Orlando looks like and not just the Disney property. You know. But yeah, I never, it's like, you know, I've had traffic, in California for Disneyland, but not in Orlando, you know. And even when I was like, hey, let's go look at the weird stuff in Orlando, you know, when, you know, we go to the Ripley's Museum and some of the crazy, mini golf down there. That's,
oh yeah.
I think there was a bunch of guys from Marvel. I think Dan and a bunch of them went down to Florida at one point down there just to go play mini golf. And they went to every giant, cool mini golf place down there. But it is the mini golf capital of the world. I honestly think it must be.
Not a mini golf person.
You got to go with the right people.
So this is definitely an A+ for me, though. I was like, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was an A+ episode. I don't know. I mean, it might not have been as good if they hadn't had this, as you called it, the bottle episode, the episode before. Because I mean, we were just dying for this. So when he finally put on this suit, you're like, oh, thank God. But now what's he do with it? It's like, well, where'd he get this other suit? Because they just had helmets, in the room. I didn't see any suits.
He's been wearing it underneath his clothes this whole time.
I don't know. And does he have a bunch of different suits to match the different helmets? I don't know.
So I mean, he's been fighting temptation, I guess, for a year. I mean, he's had those suits or whatever locked up on the roof. So
he should have better security now that he has a girlfriend coming in out of there, though. She's pretty nosy. She's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, but then you have to go up to the actual roof. So I mean,
yeah, it's amazing.
Still on property,
how does he not figure this out?
Well, he's been lying kind of low for the last year, sort of.
And he left the horn on top of the little piece of the horn on top of Foggy's funeral thingy. So I'm just like,
I know it's just sitting there in his apartment. She's not blind, or maybe she is blind. I don't know.
I mean, unless I don't know, she just thinks, he picked that up off the at the crimes, at the site, where Foggy was murdered, because maybe she thinks he has beef with Daredevil or something.
I don't know. She's on to something.
Well, we'll find out sooner or later. I hope we find out. It's not just there as oh, look, here's a pretty girl.
I hope she doesn't get fridged. Actually,
yeah,
that would be bad. She
I told you I fridged somebody, right?
Yeah.
In a story, everyone.
Yeah, not in real life.
Yeah.
In a story, I didn't. It's funny. At the time, it didn't occur to me, and I was like, oh, but that's how you make the good guy get really upset. You have to hurt something he likes.
I'm just wondering how long it's going to be till he finds out that she's the therapist for the two.
They've got to bump into.
Well, that's got to happen soon, and that's going to have to cause some kind of. I mean, because you can't say, oh, you're I know who you're being. So there should be something good happening with that, but I hope.
Yeah, we might not get that till episode 9.
Well, I'm thinking we might not get that in the next 3 episodes that are left. That might be saved for the next 9.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know where this is going.
If they change the next 9 based on how people are, watching this one, because everybody was kind of like making fun of episode 5, but everybody seems to be like episode 6.
Mm-hmm. Which they I guess they knew it was coming, because they doubled up on 5 and 6 this week. So
there's a method to their madness. I will give them that.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of method. I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and
Thomas Long only wrote 1 episode this season, so that's interesting to me too.
Who only wrote 1?
The guy that wrote this episode, Thomas Wong. Whereas almost
really
everybody else has at least 2 episodes.
Because I'm like, where's the people that actually created this character? Because Rob Liefeld had, he had a bit of a sort of a tantrum over not getting to go to this party at Deadpool, but he has made a really good point. Is the people that create these characters should really have their name right up front, and you'll see, like this series created by this person on the credits for these shows. But where's the guys that created Daredevil? That should be right there up front. Character created by this person. This wouldn't exist without them. But I think Rob makes a really good point. The creators should have that the creator credit should go right up front with everybody else, not buried in the back after the caterers and the fucking babies that people had while they were making the show. I mean, really, we need to have production baby credits. If I ever direct a movie, I'm like, no, we're not going to credit your fucking babies that you had.
Hollywood tradition.
Like, no, my God. It's like, no, there's so many people. I don't care about the accountants. The
most important people. Are you crazy?
Because if you watch old movies, there's like 12 people that made this movie. I'm sure there were many more, but they didn't feel the need to credit every single human that ever came near the movie. Like, here's 12 producers, 11 of whom never. But we promised them
vanity.
It's like the guy that plays Biff on Back to the Future. He sings this song about stupid questions people ask, and one of the questions, that people say, "What's a producer?" And he goes, "I don't know." Like everybody else, he's like, he defines what it is. And he producer, I don't really know, but that's pretty funny. He's funny. If you ever get to see Tom Wilson, that's his name. But if you ever get to see him do stand up, he's very funny.
Oh, nice.
He's still doing stand-up? Good for him.
He's still doing the stand-up. Well, because he doesn't get a lot of roles, which is kind of weird. I mean, I always thought he was a pretty good actor. But he's always done stand-up, but he's actually very funny.
Nice.
Not as funny as Bruce Campbell.
Well, who is?
We need Bruce Campbell in the Marvel Universe more, instead of just those little cameos he did with Sam Raimi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if they ask very nicely, he'll still tell them no.
Bruce Campbell? No, he'll say yes. He loves to work. He'll do anything.
Oh, wow.
And he doesn't get a lot of roles. I don't really know why. It's like, he's a fun guy. Dan and I actually went to a book signing just so we can meet him. He wrote a book, Leading with My Chin. So we went. Let's go see Bruce Campbell. Yeah, let's go see Bruce Campbell. And he was very funny in person.
That's the reality show we need. Dan and Greg going around, to different things.
It'd probably be really boring.
Once upon a time, an editor's box explaining the inside jokes. That's all. That's all we would need.
Yeah. Once upon a time, it was like, oh my God, what is Greg going to say now that's going to, cause a problem? And now I'm a little more mellow.
Good for you.
Well, that's what happens. When you get married, you have a kid, and you have to kind of behave a little bit. Yep. Once upon a time, I was not very in control.
Oh my! Yeah, I hear from certain people, including Dan, and we're like, man, every other word out of Greg's mouth.
Well, it's still. I mean, I'm at school, so I can't.
Oh yeah.
Can't curse like that at school. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking it all the day long, but oh yeah, no, I was yeah.
Well, that's like when I did the episode with Marcus. He goes, yeah, I don't swear like Greg does. I said, well, who does?
Not very many people.
No.
Well, they're a lot more in control. I mean, Marcus is a really nice guy.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember him cursing a whole lot, even back then. But I definitely, I like profanity. But it was not. I never put it in the comics.
No,
it was always very gratuitous. If you can't write a comic without profanity, then you're not doing a very good job as a writer. We can always use blast instead of damn. People say, why do they say these words? Well, we couldn't say the other words, and we needed something. And I never liked writing the little curse thing where you would put all the little picture things. That was because as a kid I always just read that as it's like no, that's
the old Donald Duck
word there. People try to get clever and write other things that sort of sound like it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I used to use jerkweed a lot, which Bruce Willis used that in Die Hard. And I said, oh, that sounds like a really terrible word, but you know what? It's not. And nobody ever stopped me from using it. So I used to use jerkweed. I had Crippler saying that. Most of the colorful stuff would come out of Crippler. It's like, okay, he would say these terrible things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, in Pittsburgh we have Jagoff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you don't go around saying yins.
I'll hear one slip out of my mouth every so often.
Where yins all goes at? What? Deep jet? Oh my God! That Western PA, horrible stuff I grew up with. I had to work really hard never to say any of those things. I mean, so he said, what do? I said, well, they take like 5 words and they cram them together into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why do they do that? I don't know. My friends didn't talk like that. But a lot of the kids the kids I went to school with, they talk like that. The Amish certainly don't talk like that.
Oh no.
But I miss living out near the Amish because you could go out and get really good produce from them and really good food. Furniture. The funniest thing, I went to go buy a rocking chair, and I go in, and the person that took care of us was this 13-year-old boy. Except he doesn't talk like a 13-year-old boy. He talks like a 45-year-old man that's been doing this his whole life. And I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, this is so weird because he has no nonsense. He knows his stuff, and made sure I got the chair I was looking for. And I was like, wow. You never see a 13-year-old that is that mature. But he took it very seriously. I'm a man now. But yeah, it was always fun to see them. They used to come at a grocery store I used to work with. They would come in and shop in the grocery store, so they parked their little buggy out front. Nobody ever bothered them. There was none of that stuff like in Witness where they, go and taunt them. They say, "Oh, they can't fight, ha ha ha." They never did. That never happened. Around us at least. So where in Pittsburgh are you?
I'm like right outside Pittsburgh. It's like a quick drive to Pittsburgh, but I'm like out in the suburbs. So,
because I was in I grew up in Newcastle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm out by like Irwin, Monroeville.
Yep. So are you a Kennywood person?
We just went last year. It had been a few years since we'd gone. All those local amusement parks, Kennywood, Sandcastle, Idlewild, they're getting sold. Well, like years ago, they got sold to some big foreign company, but now it's getting sold again. So
I used to love Kennywood. I never went when I was there. I started going there when I would go back to visit. But they have the best French fries. Anyway.
Oh yeah, potato patch fries. Yeah.
And they had my favorite ice cream that they made. Some kind of a Kennywood ice cream. It had like caramel cones and it was like chocolate caramel and ice cream cones in the ice cream that was like a malt ice cream. I remember. The food at Kennywood was really good.
Oh yeah.
Plus,
you've never taken me to Kennywood, Philip. I am shocked and appalled.
And Kennywood's great, but I missed Three Rivers. Last time I was there, I was like, oh,
the stadium. Yeah,
there's no more Three River. I mean, there's a new stadium in there, but it's like,
yeah.
I grew up. We would go to the baseball games up at Three Rivers, and I don't know. There's something just so cool about that location.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Three Rivers thing.
Yeah.
But I think Pittsburgh has more bridges than any place in the world.
No, I think that's Florida.
You think? Really?
Yeah.
In one city?
Oh, well, okay, maybe not one city.
I mean, I've only been to like Disney area, Orlando and Cape Canaveral. No, I was in Tallahassee. But the fun drive. I had no idea how flat the world could be. When you get up from Orlando to Cape Canaveral, it's that Beeline Expressway, and it's literally just a straight drive through nothing.
Yeah, we have a lot of motorcyclists here because of that.
But there was all these signs for some surf shop. I can't remember what it was, but it was like every sign.
I don't know why we don't actually have Wade.
Right?
As a person from California, I always like when I see a surfboard in Florida, I'm just like, for what? Get your jet ski, douchebag! Why do you have a surfboard?
Yeah, I don't know. Florida, what can you say? Every day it's like Florida man found doing some ridiculous thing. Mike Barron wrote a book called Florida Man, and it's actually really funny because he basically took all this ridiculous stuff that Florida and stuck it in this character, and he has these adventures, and it's actually hilarious. So yeah, if you get a chance, find the original Florida Man was really fun. I didn't think Mike Barron would be funny. But it's really funny. And I'm like, wow, I wish I would have thought of that. Because you see Florida Man everywhere. You just saw it.
Yeah, I get razzed for it on Facebook almost every day.
You Florida bandit now? All right. Well, I feel like we're talking geography and
everything but Daredevil. It was like,
yeah, we talked everything.
I give it a thumbs up and an A+ for this episode.
Exactly.
More like this.
Yes.
I think we're in for quite a ride for the last 3 episodes.
Well,
I think they've been saving it all up.
It's not going to be Matt's going to cook pasta next episode for 60 minutes.
Lots of eating in this show. All right, so next week we'll be back to our regular schedule, kids. 1 episode. Episode 7 will be out. Well, next 3 weeks. It should be 1 a week till the end here. So,
when you end a series, I'm like, well, what's next?
You know they're going to cliffhanger it though, since they've already announced season 2. It's going to be a cliffhanger at some.
Well, they should. They'd be stupid not to.
Oh yeah. Just a
What
question
will
of
be
how.
the cliffhanger? That's actually Kingpin's illegitimate son. What?
Save it for the what if.
I like the What If series.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job with the What Ifs. That used to be when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite books. This is What If, yeah.
Oh yeah, always someone that ended up dying.
I never got to write a What If. I still can't believe I never did one.
Really?
Every time I think of one, somebody had already done it. Because you wanted to do one that people would actually want to buy. Nobody wants to see. What if Silver Sable became Daredevil? Nobody cares. Well, we wouldn't care. We wouldn't read it. That's What If. Oh, okay.
It seems like too much fun. Like everyone probably wanted to write What If.
A lot of people did have a lot of fun with that. Jim Valentino actually did a bunch of What Ifs for Craig Anderson, and he seemed to be really nice. He did one of my favorite ones. Was he and Rob Liefeld did the What If Wolverine was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that was cool because as the art was coming in and as they were doing it, it was right there across. Craig's office was right across from mine, so I watched it all come together. This is really cool. And it was before Rob became, Rob Liefeld. He had just come back over from DC. I was trying to figure out what he wanted to be doing, and he hadn't gotten every single offer on the planet yet. So that was it was kind of fun to be there for that version of those guys.
But yeah, I was going to say, send us your thoughts on the upcoming episodes. Again, we go right after the episode usually. So CapesandLunatics at gmail.com or 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And if you're in the Richmond area this weekend, go see Dan Chichester. Go talking some Daredevil. Go talk to Dan Chichester at GalaxyCon in Richmond this weekend.
Oh, and he made some 3D Daredevil. I think they might be keychains.
I think so. Yeah, with the logo. Yeah.
So if you're lucky, you might be able to snag one of those and and ask him all kinds of embarrassing questions.
I think you get like an extra special giveaway if you come actually dressed in black armor.
I've never seen anybody dressed in the black armor.
Neither have I.
I very rarely see anybody dressed as Daredevil. Unfortunately, I've seen one Silver Sable. I saw one really good Nick Fury. Nobody's ever shown up as Deathlock, as far as I know. So it's kind of fun to I love the cosplayers because you want to see somebody dress up as your character.
Yeah, exactly.
But I see. Everything I write, nobody ever wants to show up as. That's awesome.
I have a feeling if not this weekend, in the immediate future, someone's going to come to his table dressed like Daredevil because the show's on now and everything. So
that would be cool. I mean, because now people are able to make the most amazing costumes. I'm astonished, because I always ask the costumer, I said, "Did you make your costume?" "Yeah, I made this costume." Oh my God.
Well, a lot of them they'll 3D print pieces and stuff. And
well, somebody printed, almost an exact replica of an Iron Man suit that actually, things moved and the helmet came up and.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I saw one like that years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like the faceplate float. He just had like a button.
Somebody did a full-size Thanos. That was amazing.
Wow.
Well, because you're basically wearing stilts and stuff, but it was there's a lot of these guys that do these star stilt costumes, and somebody did a Groot that was amazing.
Oh wow!
But yeah, it's amazing. And somebody says, "Oh, you should cosplay." I'm like, I don't think so. I would come as somebody that you wouldn't know, and I'm too old now, so
No such thing.
Exactly.
Cosplay is for everybody.
Well, that's true. I mean, I actually love the people that they don't look anything like this character. And they're just having a blast,
Yeah.
It's like, this 600-pound guy is, he's dressed as Thor. He's having a blast. That's fantastic. Then every once in a while you get the kid in the wheelchair that's figured out like how to use the wheelchair as like a Star Wars walk. I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun. And then the people that they take 4 different characters and they slash them together.
Mm.
And if you're Rob Liefeld, all these people come in all these Daredevil variant costumes. I mean, can you imagine how that must feel to have that many people putting that much time into creating your character just to come and get it photographed with you? That's amazing. I can't imagine what that must feel like. You know, nobody dresses up as Crippler and comes to see me.
Bill, that's your job now.
Yeah.
Get to work on that Crippler costume.
Come on, kids.
Well, you know, which one? You know, there was the one that was the Willem Dafoe outfit from Streets of Fire, and then there was his other uniform,
the Wild Pack costume. Yeah,
but that's, you know, nobody ever dresses Battlestar. Never had a Battlestar.
Oh, that'd be great. If someone could figure out how to do Sandman, there you go. I'm
surprised nobody had. I mean, it's a simple, you know, shirt and stuff, but I don't know what you would do to. I mean, if they could do it and then put their hand out and drop sand, that would be. Because somebody's got, like, they figured out the Doctor Strange thing. They get those, I guess, the spinning LED thing, and they had the, you know, I saw that live, and I'm like, wow, that's actually really cool.
All right, kids. Yeah, let's get out of here. All right, again, 1 week. We'll be back for episode 7. Only 3 weeks left. 3 episodes left of the season.
Time has flown.
Then we'll have to wait like a year.
Probably 2.
Well, then Andor will be on for a while.
I think they said they were already filming. I thought they...
That doesn't mean anything these days.
Unless I just wishful thinking, I thought they had said something about next year. But
well, they are filming it, but I don't know when it'll be ready.
Yeah, like to edit and all that stuff.
Oh man, I hope it'll wait 2 years, especially
that's the norm now.
I know.
Well, we have Ironheart that's coming, and something else. Oh, and Wonder Man.
Wonder Man's coming at the end of this year, I think. Yeah, like December, I think maybe.
Doesn't sound anything like the character.
We'll have to see, because I think they're all adding like the Hollywood stuff, you know, like the.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, you're doing a different version of the character. It looked pretty entertaining. So
yeah.
You know, I hope so. But Wonder Man was another one of those characters that was one of the first characters I got to write, and I want him to be the way I wrote him. All
right, kids, come back next time. Remember, it's better to be with the devil you know than the devil you don't. And it's actually a devil.